Welcome back to Vaulted by Proof. I'm Eli Scheinmann, Director of Art at Proof and Yuga Labs. On today's show, we have the one, the only, aka Stevie Amanda, joining to co-host the episode with me. We're joined by Blondie, the founder of White Walls.
They're not worried about the flip. They can actually put it up in their home.
And an incredible collector, as well as Sofia Garcia, founder of ArtxCode.
Just have to be like, yeah, I'm interested in this. And if no one understands what I'm saying, that's what Twitter's for.
One of the very earliest curators in this space. We go deep into the artist and gallery representation models, some of the artist pain points that both Blondie and Sofia are working to solve.
Like, are we hurting artists? Because if everybody can appreciate it in their homes, who's going to want to still buy the art?
We talk about display form factors, physical and digital ownership models.
And why NFTs are important in the first place, because anyone can show it, but like you can't sell it. Like
This was a great show. I loved having Amanda co-hosting with me. Let's jump in. Welcome back to Vaulted by Proof. I'm Eli Scheinmann, Director of Art at Proof and Yuga Labs. We have a great show today. We have three very special guests. First, we have Amanda, aka Stevie, joining me to co-host this episode. Self-proclaimed best guest ever today, co-host. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm back. I had to come in. This is too good of a show for me to not be on here and be able to have this conversation with these amazing people.
I love it. Okay, so let's now go over to our next guest, Blondie, founder of White Walls, incredible collector. Excited to dig in with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and talk to you guys today, for sure.
This is going to be awesome. And then lastly, we have Grail's co-host and, of course, incredible curator, founder of ArtxCode, artist, and we're definitely going to talk about that, Sofia Garcia, showing generative art since 2018, I think. So really an honor to have you on the show. Excited to dig in.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
All right, so let's go in the way that we always do. Let's kick it off and talk about Sofia and Blondie, one piece or one collection each that you've collected recently. Maybe Blondie, starting with you, what do you want to share with us?
So I'm going to share a piece by Yatreda. I just collected this yesterday. So Yatreda, I actually had the pleasure of meeting the whole Yatreda team, her and her husband, Joey. They're just amazing people. Benny actually introduced me to her art and the way she does things. And she's so perfect about everything that she does. I just love it. I love what she stands for. I love what they stand for. They're a perfect family unit. And she's just doing things different. I mean, and it's gorgeous, and it's authentic, and I love that. I just love every single part of it.
Yeah, great selection. And I think I read on Roger's report that there's a bit of a story with you and Benny trading pieces. Is that right?
So yes, yeah. So actually, the piece I have is I think it's First Man, and so it's the one of Adam, and they're both beautiful pieces, but for me, like female power, I don't know. I really wanted this one. And he was like, okay, well, if you buy that one, we'll swap. So we're going to swap eventually. So I think he'll keep the physical of this one. And then he'll have I'm super excited about it. I can't wait. I had it up in my house already. It's amazing. And the sound, everything she does is beautiful. So the piece, I'm sure it'll just be up all the time.
Incredible. And I think this was the 9th sale of those 12 or 13 pieces in that collection. So a couple still more available on the fellowship website, if I'm not mistaken.
There are, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great selection. Sofia, over to you. What do you have for us?
Yes. Okay. So my piece is a bit different. This is a conceptual piece by Kevin Esherick, and it is catalog. This is called SKU 422 or 422. And this is kind of, it's a bit of a critique on long form generative art and this kind of idea of having this concept around ready-made, like Duchampian the works of art where, and using a random seed, but to pull random pieces from Costco's catalog of of work. I think it's also kind of just taking a look at, the ways in which long form generative art has kind of like turned into a commodity itself, with the financialization around blockchain, which it's just a fascinating take as someone who's been obsessed with generative art for a very long time. And I love the critiques. He released a really wonderful essay just a few weeks ago. And it actually played really well into some of the things that I'm also been investigating and kind of thinking about a lot longer. And we'll talk about it when we get into my project. But yeah, actually fits perfectly. And it was just a really cool project. And I'd love to see this in the my Darigold Fit lactose-free reduced fat ultra filtered chocolate milk, 18 bottles. I would totally have that in a glass case in my house. So yeah, I think it'd be so cool. But yeah, that's my
Sofia, great selection. I don't know too much about Kevin. What can you tell us about him as an artist and him as a person?
So Kevin, I'd say is a conceptual artist. We met briefly in New York. He's definitely, I'd say, emerging in the sense of, I don't know if so many people know his name, but really wonderful mind, really thoughtful in the way that they're thinking about just the landscape as a whole. And I think, again, bringing forward some much needed critique around everything that we've been engaging with, and he's doing so in a really smart way. It's really thoughtful and makes you think, I love that. Absolutely love it.
Love it. Yeah, such a great choice. Okay, Amanda, you kick us off. Let's move into our next phase of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to have both of you guys here, like two incredible founders, I think doing things that we need to be doing in the space. As things get a little slower, one of the things I've been really, really appreciating is watching teams coming out of this sort of bear market, really doubling down on helping artists, supporting artists, and helping them just not necessarily focus on some of the things that that can detract them from the actual art of creativity, right? So I think with both of you guys, I think this is a really good question. What do you think are some of the pain points for artists today? And how are you guys really trying to address that right now? We'll kick it off with Sofia.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest pain points, one of the reasons I started working with artists was helping them kind of like flag through different opportunities that were coming their way, especially with kind of around the rise of generative art. But I think now it's trying to understand, especially in this market, like where are we? How should we be moving? Do we have to only think essentially like sales-wise, market-wise? We're really working with, working with institutions, foundations, one-on-one conversations with collectors, and kind of thinking beyond just like big sale equals success and really thinking about it long term. And I think that's always been the approach that we move with our artists, really thinking like 5-10 years down the line and not just let's get another sale in. Like that's not at all our approach. And yeah, just really pushing artists to think long term.
Yeah.
Sofia, how do you drive that home with an artist who maybe has left, let's say, full-time design work, for example, and now wanting to be a full-time practicing artist? How do you instill that patience in them?
Oh, I mean, I think there's a difference between kind of public sales and public marketing around their work versus private sales, and getting these artists and like introducing them to our network of collectors and friends. And it's a really good, I guess, experiment at that point too, because we really sign there's twofold. Like there are artists that we support because we absolutely love them, and I'll do it like as a friend for a lot of them. But if they're being signed to us, like we've already seen that there is proof that people want to acquire their works, and even if it's at a very like sustainable price point, I think is also really important. So allowing them to make these sales, bring those wins in, and being like, okay, we're seeing progress. And so I think with them, trust is a huge part of it. The artists that we work with want to work with us, and we want to work with them. So when we're saying like, hey, like let's not, you don't have to do that sale right now. We're really lucky that they trust our advice.
I love that. And Blondie, like what I think I really, really love about White Walls is you guys are really trying to really extract like the difficult, like sort of technology part of being able to just get your work seen and on people's and collectors' walls. And I absolutely love what you guys are doing at White Walls. So like, how do you think maybe the app and all of your ideas and larger plans with White Walls is helping some of those pain points for artists, and maybe how that use of technology is actually, really beneficial?
So I think, see, it's a great question. And I think we live in a world, like those of us in this group, we're so used to technology because that's our, most of what we're dealing with is technology. It's art based, but it's technology based as well. And so for us, it's easy because it's second nature. We live around all of these things, but in the real world, it is the real world, but the other real world is it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. So when you go through rough times, when we call it the bear market. So we're already a small group, and then we have a rough market. You have an even smaller group of people that have money to spend on art. So I kind of think of like, if you collect baseball cards, if things aren't going well and you need to provide other things in your life, well, you're going to buy less baseball cards. Well, we're getting a use case for the stuff that we're buying, the art that you're buying that used to only be on your phone. Now it brightens your life. Like behind me right now, I'm using the app, and there's 3 of my more recent acquisitions are on there. And now it's in my home. It's a Hayden Clay. It's my one of one. Yeah. Public pool.
Beautiful.
Yes. So I love it because now it's in my home. It's everywhere. And now people are buying more art because they have a place to use it. So like before, I'm like, okay, the smaller mints or the free mints, like on Rodeo or, the lower costing mints, we're able to get people now are like going home. One of my other founders, Devin, he goes home every day and they like to go through these and they'll mint like 3 or 4 different things that they wouldn't have bought before because it's just going to end up in their wallet. But now we're like, hey, let's change the scene in my room or my living room tonight as a family, and the kids get to pick and they're putting it up on the screen. And it's this great experience where you're sharing with the art with your kids, with your family, with people that come over. Now, I mean, the story I tell, anybody that knows this about me knows that I've always had an issue because like I bought my Chromie squiggle and I was so excited about it, loved my squiggle so much. And I'm showing it to people and they're like, it looks like an iPhone app. Like, what is that? I could do it with my finger. They don't get it, right?
Yeah.
My dad was the worst. He's like, you what? Like, I 99-cent app. Like, and I was like, no, that's not, no. But then he comes over and it's now on a screen in my home. And he's like, oh my gosh, I need that. He's like, I want that at my house. And I was like, okay, I'll set it up at your, no, I want it on my phone. Like now he's like, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to buy art. So you're like, wow, like that's all it took to convert, so it's giving a use case. So how this helps artists is it's providing another outlet for artists to get to more people and providing people have more, now they can still see a reason to buy art right now. They're not worried about the flip. They can actually put it up in their home. And I'm not saying I collect because I like collecting art. It can sit in my wallet. It can sit in my vault. But now I can share it with more people. And my kids will come through and they'll stop and they're like, wow, what's this? And they want to talk about it, which is amazing. Normally they don't care what I'm doing other than like walking through, hoping I don't notice them walking through the house. So now they're stopping and asking me and they want to know, like, what is that? And like this, for example, Keiko, I probably don't say her name right. I'm from Texas. I mess up everybody's names. They're like, she creates all of her art with pipes. So like, I love having this conversation with people about this artist. And she does this with these amazing, little black pipes. And I joke with her all the time. I'm like, if I would make a huge mess with pipes, but she does these amazing things. And I just love that. And you can share that with everybody. So I feel like that combined with when artists first see somebody using White Walls to display their art, they're always like, oh my gosh, I've never seen my art displayed in that, like in someone's home before. This is amazing. And I think it gives them an extra push to keep going. Because I know it's going to be hard right now when you haven't had a sale for a while, trusting that it's not them, that the talent's there. I mean, I can't imagine. It's got to be very discouraging. But that's one of the things I didn't expect from doing this is how many artists have reached out and been like, wow, thank you. This means a lot to us. And that's why we're trying to feature them too with our posts, just saying, look at this. And it just does. It changes, especially because they're lit displays. It changes the whole room. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Stevie feels the same way. I appreciate the work you guys are doing at White Walls so much, Blondie. Sophia, maybe coming back over to you, in those very early days when you were starting to show computer and generative art, I think you mostly sold them as physicals, like in the very earliest days, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sort of curious for your perspective on display and living with artwork that is blockchain based? Do you, in your maybe own home, have a mix? How do you sort of see things evolving? Is it a mix of some physical, some display, some white walls? What's your
Yeah. Oh my God, no, the mix is awesome. I actually use my sister has a much bigger, better house. So we use her house as kind of like the
Showcase.
essentially our gallery
Gallery.
space. Yeah. And screens that I've used for different exhibitions that were like in storage, we're like, ooh, like let's put them around here. Let's do this. And so she has works from we had an exhibition called The Digital back in 2021, and we had prints, we also had digital screens. And so a lot of those are hanging up in her house right now. And so it's really cool to be able to walk in. You have, she has Jeff Davis color study right when you walk in. She has a glass, and she's in the front of her house is kind of glass, so you'll drive by and you'll see the colors. But she also uses the Samsung frame, and she'll have like Zach Lieberman up there mixed paired with paintings and printed generative art. But yeah, back in the day, it was rolling around with algorithms, picking an output, printing out the code next to it, having that framed, and being like, this is generative art, this is digital art. But that was really like the only way I could prove that it was generative or code based is having the code printed out, so I could make this, made that. And now it's way cooler. And I mean, just kind of talking about the Chromie Squiggle, like during that exhibition, we displayed the Chromie Squiggle as a hologram. And that was a really big moment, I think, for a lot of people to kind of connect with it in a very different way, and also give it the sort of, I really wanted it to feel like an artifact, this like artifact that you could walk around, and that really represented this movement that we were all like so enamored by, that brought so many people together around generative art. And I don't know, like being able to pull these works out of the screen and bring them into our physical presence in a way that is tangible for us, it really completely changes our relationship with it. It's why I love organizing exhibitions so much.
And Blondie, with white walls, how does a collector, let's say yourself, demonstrate that you actually own the pieces that you're displaying? Like, can you only is that a constraint intentionally, that you can only display things you own? Or what's the relationship between showing work and owning work?
I love that you did not prep me that you were going to ask this question. It's such a fun discussion. Every time we talk to somebody, everybody has an opinion, right?
I have an opinion.
Proof has a very distinct relationship with CC, like all that fun backstory with all the CCO and like rights and all that. So as of now with white walls, you can display only art that is in a wallet that you own or sign. As of now. You can show proof that it is yours by toggling on, don't have my phone to toggle on, I purposely didn't bring it in here. It has like a little plate that comes up, and it has a QR code that'll take you to where the art is, and it shows the wallet owner address, and it has a little bit of information that you can toggle through. Eventually, and coming very soon, there will be ways to, another way we're trying to help artists is hopefully feature some of their work and give access to maybe unreleased pieces, or let owners and creators and like everybody just be able to share what they want to share, and allowing access to that to as many people as they want. So it's still a very fluid discussion about ownership and rights, because technically right now anybody can go on OpenSea and pull up anybody's piece of art technically. And I think it's interesting to hear from both artists and collectors how they feel about that. Very strong opinions usually. Always am very surprised. I feel like I will guess how somebody's going to go, and then it doesn't go that way. So I usually try not to insert. And again, I can be easily swayed. I can argue both sides. So I'm definitely not the person to be like documented on what we should do. But it's definitely been interesting, and I think it says a lot about the space too. And it's passion. We're all passionate about art, right? That's why we're here. So I feel like it's good that we're passionate. It's just a very dividing, topic for sure.
Oh, I have a very strong opinion about that, and you should be able to. I think that you should be able to share any artwork on the screen. I think that one of the cool things, or one of the like core tenets of digital art is kind of the democratization of the image, and being able to share it, and why NFTs are important in the first place, because anyone can show it, but like you can't sell it. Like
exactly. I was just going to say that.
One of the pitches, or
huge.
A core argument for this, or I guess a really good use case, is the goose ringer. I write about this in the Toshin chapter on algorithmic art, why the goose ringer was valued for what it was, because of it's so easily identifiable, because it's been spread, like the memes that were created, the way that people share it, the way that it's just people can have it in their house, and you're like, that's the goose ringer. But like, you don't, the collector holds the value of the goose ringer, not we all share the value in terms of like the cultural impact that it has on us. But it's like, my parents have a Starry Night print at their house, like in their bathroom. It's like you can't sell that as an original.
Exactly.
So I'm very big on like spread the image across far and wide.
I think it's funny. I think we started on the opposite end of that, because we were like, what are people gonna like if we start letting everybody? Who's gonna want to buy? Like, are we hurting artists? Because if everybody can appreciate it in their homes, who's gonna want to? He'll still buy the art. But then I feel like as a team, we're starting to very much shift that way as we talk to people, and we're like, okay, yeah, you're right, that makes sense. So it's still very fluid. My team is probably going to laugh and be like, oh my gosh, what did you say when they find out this question came up? So I'm like, oh gosh. But yeah, it is. I love the question, actually, because I think it makes us all kind of really think about how we appreciate art and what it means to us, and wanting to share it. So I think that's a good point.
I like the default, though, that it is your wallet that you are showing. And I also understand the tension, like from the business point of view, because I'm also kind of anti-art subscription. You know what I mean? Like, I personally
big issue with a lot of those other things that you mentioned earlier. If you want to, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. It's a challenge. I will be reaching out further for all of your opinions as we move forward.
Okay.
It's open for opinions. I love them.
That's great.
Oh man, this is such a good conversation. Again, I feel like we could go on and on and on. I think we would be remiss to not sort of like address, first of all, how inspiring it is to have two female founders on the show with us. You two are a bit of anomalies here in the space. Sofia, you've been around for a minute. You've been in the space in generative art for a minute, and we all know that there's not so many, female generative artists in the space. And now you're also now representing artists and speaking for them. And, I had this tweet the other day, a couple weeks ago that said, I think that the art space would be so much better off with more female leadership in this space. And I completely agree. And then, obviously there might have been like a little bit of a sub tweet for Blondie, seeing you kind of come out there. I've been a collector for a while now, and always so surprised that I don't see more female collectors. I think we have good taste. I think we know, we have good aesthetics. We know what looks good. Sometimes some of the things that do really well is like, it just doesn't look good. Why? Why don't they have people with better taste around here? Right. And I think that when we start to unlock that whole space, I think we can actually maybe, make it better, make it more well-rounded. Right. So one of the things that I just wanted to sort of like highlight is, why do you guys think that we are all sort of like anomalies in this space? There's this line that I hear a lot, in that it's a very risky space, right? Crypto is risky. A lot of women don't really want to take that risk in spending money and all of those things. Like, how do we think that, over the next, few years, decades, how does that change? How do we sort of bring in more people of all different types, not just maybe crypto-minded people or gamblers or right? Some of these things. How do we sort of like make this space just bigger for everyone?
Yeah.
Where do you start?
I'm gonna try and keep my
ready.
answer concise, but I think it's really important to remember how NFTs and all this stuff really kind of emerged off the back of blockchain, which was an alternative finance, paradigm. And so I used to work at JP Morgan, so I was really lucky when I first really started to get into blockchain or experiment with it. I wasn't finance terms weren't foreign to me. Also, I was a front-end developer. So technical terms were not foreign to me. And so there's a lot of jargon that you have to pass through, especially in the earlier days, to even just engage or be interested in blockchain. Cryptocurrency and crypto, it just sounds gross for the everyday person. You're like, that sounds complicated. I have more important things to do. So that's one part of it. I think now we've got, we've been building, trying to make this a lot easier for people and to onboard more people. It's been a while, but thinking about getting more artists into the space, for the last 10 years, I've been part of a nonprofit called Code Art. It's based in Miami. Now we do are more nationwide, but really focused on teaching girls how to feel confident and just delighted with code as a creative medium. I think for a really long time, especially growing up, there's all these ideas of the archetype of the coder is this male, this loner and hacking away, in a hoodie, and actually showing that it's a really collaborative, awesome, creative thing that you can do with your group of girlfriends and make really cool art and express yourself, and giving them the confidence and teaching them the tools to share their work. There was one exhibition that I showed one of our students who had then graduated, and now she works with the nonprofit, Kayla. We minted her work and we had her work on display, and she was able to, and we sold that work. Snowfro bought it. Thanks, Snowfro.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a really big moment for Kayla. She, it was, it sold for over $1,000. You know what I mean? Hey, that is hard work for artists to do, especially someone who's probably in their late, early 20s, if that, so it's just, there's bringing the confidence and being from a young age, being open to experimentation, I think is a really big thing. And then also just being okay with being misunderstood from your girlfriend. I still think my girlfriends have no idea what I do for a living. And it's totally fine. You know what I mean? It's so you got to own it, and you just have to be I'm interested in this. I want to experiment with it. And if no one understands what I'm saying, that's what Twitter's for.
You find your people.
ArtxCode was my anon account for a very, 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 very long time. I wanted no one to know that I was a woman, interested in this. I was just, I went after it. And I think, for me, it's important now to have a group of girls who don't feel the need that they have to hide that they're a woman doing it. They can go out, they can go for it. And hopefully they'll be infiltrating our space with a lot more art in the next decade.
Let's go. Same here, honestly. That's where Stevie came from, is trying to kind of stay, under the radar so that it's not an obvious, I'm obviously a woman, so that I can, be taken seriously. And hopefully we're all just sitting here, being those, that early group of people that had to deal with some of this stuff. And, in a few years, just won't even be that problem. What do you think, Blondie?
Well, I came in very maybe naively. It was never my intent, I guess. When I came in as a collector. Actually, I was in the sneaker group, and how I even got into NFTs, oddly enough, was because I won somehow we had access to a raffle to mint Moonbirds, and I won, and everybody acted like I had won the lottery, and I was like, I didn't even really understand. And my husband was into crypto, which I was not, and was like, they're acting like this is a big deal. He didn't really care for NFTs, but he was like, let's do it. He was a gambler. So he was like, let's do it. So I minted it, Moonbird, and we all know how that story went. Still have my bird. I wasn't worried about, obviously Blondie is most people aren't, I think they pretty much know. But my thing has just always been, girl power is important to me, but I never want to make it a political thing, because I feel like that actually hurts us.
Yeah,
I agree. Some people do it really well. I feel like you ladies do it really well. I feel like sometimes I'm like, please just stop. Yes, please stop. Please.
I get it.
It's so different because a man can come out and do that, but nobody's like, oh, men, You know,
Yeah.
never really. But if a girl comes out and acts like a girl or a woman in a cringy kind of way, they're like, oh gosh, this again. So I was like, oh, please stop. You know, like, let's not talk about that stuff. No, I don't even like talking about it. So I think I just think it's not necessarily even about having more women. It's about having more everybody,
voices,
like
just in general.
Voices and just more, like you said, well-rounded, a variety of people. And my thing always is just bringing more people in, and you do that by making everybody feel welcome. And that it is harder for women because I think we deal with different, like, it's funny, my team or even my friends that are in Web3, and I don't have a lot of female friends because they don't understand, and trying to explain it is like talking to a wall because they don't really care to try to understand, I guess, sometimes. And it's not because I have a lot of friends that aren't in the space at all that don't care what I'm saying half the time about any of this. So it's not just females, but I feel like it's even harder for women to want to be involved. But I like going through the DMs or, you know, that we get. So it's like a different layer of thing that we get that we have to deal with as females that I don't think men are probably getting as much of. So I think that maybe looking back, I know when I first started getting more involved, people were like, I think even my real name was underneath it was like my screen name, and then my real name was like the display name. And people were like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, this is about it. I was like, what? I didn't get it. So I didn't come in that way. I'm a little bit better about it now. About the female thing, but I actually want people to know now that I always did, but I try to make it a thing. And a girly female, by the way. I feel like obviously, but rainbows are my thing. Glitter is my thing. I'm like the stereotypical girly girl.
Shiny nails.
Yeah, exactly. Like different color nails. Everything. And my whole it doesn't stop here. But I feel like it's important for people to see that you can be a girly girl and be in the space, because again, it's just all varieties, you know, of people. It makes it welcoming to more people to come in as well.
Maybe on that note, Blondie, we can transition into looking into your vault, and perhaps there's one or two pieces you want to share.
Absolutely. So this piece, this is a player by Sam Spratt.
Yeah.
There was a monument game. I was not around for that, or I was around, but I wasn't in the art side. I wasn't familiar with the Spratts or anything else where I was, what I would soon amazingly come into, learn about very soon. But this piece is gorgeous. And what I love about this and all of Sam's work is the storytelling behind every single thing, and how it's not just about the story that's in the art, but the story of how he brings people together through the art. And I think in May, I was fortunate to meet some amazing people. You guys know a lot of them. And I was able to purchase a skull of Lucy. And that experience it's one of those things, like, I can't replace this part of my life. And it's been just amazing. So it's not just the art and what the art has done, but when you buy, like when I bought my skull, and then Sam reached out and wanted to talk, and I talked to him we had a long call, and just the stories we were able to share, like, these are like soul bound to me. I mean, if I had to feed my children, I would sell them, but that's what they mean to me now. These pieces are like, in this mask. So I remember I had the Skull of Lucy first, and then I didn't have a player yet. And I was like trying to space out my purchases because I'm just trying to like pace myself. But then I put this up using the White Walls app, using our link, like a backdoor dev link, to put up whatever we want. It's one of the advantages of being a founder. And I put this up in my dining room, and my kids were blown away. I was like, it like literally brought me to tears, as corny as that sounds. It just did. It's so beautiful. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to buy a player. And so I reached out, and I was like, okay, which one am I getting? But this piece, it changed. This and the skull really just changed how I view art, how I view artists, how I view the space, and the people that I've met because of being in this community is life-changing. And you want to share that, but we keep those groups really tight. You guys know, those groups are really tight. And it's not because we don't welcome other people in. It's just, we're all bound by like the same love of something. And it changed. Like, once you've been changed, you just, I don't know how to explain it. It sounds weird. I know.
No, it sounds amazing.
No,
like those eyes on that piece, it's just amazing. It really has. And it's been a lifesaver for me and a lifeline, because everything in my world got flipped upside down in October of last year. And all the things that I had known up until that point I don't really love anymore because it's just different. It's not how you expect your life to be. And, you know, you think about how you're going to be with everything in life. But between coming into White Doodles, White Walls, and the Skulls of Lucy group, that has made, it's like I'm able to have a new life, a new breath of life. I mean, I honestly don't even know where I would be. It's just been life-changing.
Amazing.
It's so
well said.
said.
Art does. Art changes your life.
It does.
Yeah,
It's not just art, it's the people. It's the people.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Blondie, that perspective is it's unique, it's novel, it's not something we hear often when we do this show in this segment, but it's such an important element of collecting and networks and those relationships with artists and with other collectors that you hit on so well. And just quick anecdote, I'm not making this up. I had a dream last night about collecting a player edition and the trade that I was going to construct to collect one. I don't have one yet. So it's top of mind for me too. Sam and Rachel, congratulations to you two. They just gave birth to a beautiful
she's
baby.
So precious.
That was stunning.
She's so beautiful.
Sofia, over to you. You're an OG collector. What do you have to share?
Okay, I had two, but I'm just going to show one, I think, for the sake of time. Both are from 2020. Let me pull them up. So the first one, and the first one is from Mario Klingemann, Quasi-Manga. And actually, it's just a screenshot. But you know, I screen grabbed your NFT, now I own it. I screen grabbed your tweet, now I sell it. And I saw that tweet, and I cracked up. And this is around that time. Around this time, I had been, you know, I had been in the crypto sphere for a while. I think that I had collected like a crypto kitty and like some random other thing. I had placed a bid on the CryptoPunk that never hit. But yeah, that's a whole other story. But this is one of those pieces that I was like, you know what? And I had, you know, again, like I had been selling NFTs, having a lot of fun with them, but I saw this and I was like, I need to buy this. I need to buy this. It's like, this is just like conceptually so hilarious and fun. And especially like, you know, I don't even think I own any other Mario Klingemann piece. It's like, and this incredible AI artist, and I'm like, I'm gonna take your screenshot. Like, have your screenshot. And then actually, if I can, I would actually love to share the other one, which because it's a little bit more personal to me. Which
just as you do that, Sofia, I think Mario is still underrated. He's also the creator of Botto. I don't know that everyone knows that. But his own works, as you just showed, are both conceptual and incredible early AI art. He has amazing physical works as well. So Mario is someone to go deep on for sure as a collector. This one,
Mario's a legend.
Right away.
Yeah.
This one, I can pin.
Helena Sarin, my girl. So Helena, we've been working together since 2019. I have been a fan of hers for so long. I think when I've spoken to younger AI artists, and she is like the mother of GAN art. You know, she was one of the first artists to really work with GANs and make that her thing. But what I love about Helena is that she is an artist really like very skilled in the technical sense, but loves the tactility of like work. She loves sketching. She loves going to like continuing education courses. You know, like she's just the best. And so this is a piece that I found like very deep in her archive of like just like images. And I was curating like one of my first like NFT only sales or like exhibitions, but like on Super Rare back in like 2020. And this is a piece that was available. And again, I kind of, I had a thing when I was at that time where I was like very like try to keep it very kosher. If I was collecting something, if I was curating something, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't want to like get nestled or have anyone try and like say like, oh, you're just in this for the money or you're pumping your own bags. But this is one that was on the market for long enough for me to be like, you guys are all sleeping on this. It's coming home with me. So I'm very happy that this is my collection. I'm actually like, it is like the dark colors is, and like there's this thing me and Helena kind of have like a running joke around the word grotesque and like these like certain things that like feel very like gloomy in a way that I just love. I love it so much. Like I love that you can see this like nude, the red, like red beige, dark, like black. Like I love that color scheme. She's Russian, and so like it's like, and I was obsessed with like constructivism. Like growing up, I think the first iteration of ArtxCode branding was based off an Al Lissitzky piece, and it was like red, black, and beige. So yeah. Those are my two pieces from my vault.
I love that last one's so great.
Great
It is like on the front, and then it's so soft. It gives like a nice feel. Yeah, I really like that.
Beautiful.
Helena, as you said, she's the best. I love. She laughs easily, so that's an easy person to get along with, and she's so talented. Such an OG. This has been a great show. We could have gone much longer. But Sofia, Blondie, Amanda, my co-host, such an honor to have you guys on. Everyone, check out White Walls. Blondie's doing great work there. ArtxCode, Sofia's company project, Sofia's own artistic project as part of the ArtxCode rebrand and relaunch. And Amanda, you can find her on Twitter, of course.
I'm around. I'm just messing around.
She's around.
Yeah, you can find me in your replies. Just
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.